Welcome to the only place where real, raw, and vulnerable conversations happen with IFBB bikini pros to give you an inside look at their struggles, strategies, mindset, passions, and all of life beyond the stage. This podcast is made to inspire, motivate, and remind competitors and the average gym goer that even the most extreme lifestyles and elite athletes have their ups and downs. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm your host, Celeste Rains-Turk, and now it's time for the Confessions of a Bikini Pro podcast. Hello, everyone. Today's guest is the owner of Iron Babe Fitness. She is a personal trainer who grew up playing sports and joined the gym in high school, which developed her love and passion for working out and lifting. She went pro in 2018 at Miami Nationals, which was the same year she started competing, and she's currently studying business and planning her upcoming season. Welcome to the show, Juli Lopez. How are you doing?
Hi, good, and you?
I am great. I'm so happy you're here. And like I already told you, I appreciate you taking the time to do this. And because you did your research, but I'm going to ask you, what is one thing you do or a ritual you have right before your heel hits the stage?
Well, even though I heard all your podcasts, honestly, I have no ritual. Besides kind of just saying like a little prayer in my head right before going on, and just like praying and saying and like making just hoping that everything goes well, and just for God to guide my steps every step of the way, and just let me shine bright on the stage in front of those judges. So
Oh, I
yeah.
love that. And this is what I said in the intro, but I want to emphasize the fact that you started competing in 2018. You went pro that year, and I'm going to be talking to you a lot about your journey through that today. But I think something interesting about the girls who tend to do that is that their background. And you had been lifting already for almost 5 years. You had an athletic background, but you started as what you consider to be the skinny girl, 4'11", 90 pounds. So I want to know if it was difficult for you to put on muscle over the years.
Yes, it took a lot of time and a lot of like heavy lifting, and constantly just like I used to train legs almost every single day. A
Wow.
good 5 times out of the week. Yeah, I was very skinny. When I started, I played sports since I was very, very young, probably like 5 years old. I've done cheerleading, I played volleyball, I did basketball.
Me too.
I've done a lot of sports. Yeah, so I started when I was in high school, that I really got into like lifting, and I was kind of like really skinny. I was 89 pounds actually. A
Wow.
little bit. Yeah, and that was crazy to be 100 pounds, to just hit the 100 mark. It was
Yeah.
kind of like that was my goal. And then when I started the gym, I would see girls lifting, and I'm like, oh my God, I want to do that. And I always thought I was a badass, so I'm like, I can do that, I can do that. And then little by little, it just kind of, I never really like beat myself up about like reaching any goals. I was just more consistent over anything. I was just, every day I would go and just train hard. Every day, the next day, go and train hard, and go and train hard, and go and train hard. And eventually, like before I noticed, I was like starting to build muscle. So yeah, it was tough. It was quite a journey, but it was all worth it. I got eventually where I wanted to, and then that eventually is what got me into competing. Where I was like, okay, I built my legs. What do I want to do now? You know, what can take my body to the next level? And being in the fitness industry, I was already training, and I had friends of mine that were always like, oh, let me prep you to compete. Let me just trust me. Your body's gonna change so much. It's really, really different. I was always like, no, I don't want to diet, because I knew behind everything, like it was more than just like dieting. I knew it was going to be a big commitment. So I didn't compete. I searched for coaches left and right. So eventually I found the right coach. So yeah.
Wow. Okay. I want to back up a little bit. You said, you had built yourself up. You're like, what's the next goal? What was it that made you even, like, did you know much about bodybuilding? Had you been seeing about it? How did you figure out it even existed?
I didn't know actually anything about bodybuilding. I did have friends though that competed, but I never even knew what a competition was like. So I didn't even know what the NPC was. I didn't know that the IFBB league, like that there were different things. I didn't know anything. And then when I found the coach after years of searching, like I think I went to see coaches like 3 different years till eventually I picked a coach and I found somebody that I like. My coach, Lolita. Maybe you guys, I don't know if you've heard of her, but Body by Lolita. She's down here in Pembroke Pines in Florida. And when I went to meet with her, she's like, yeah, I think you have the potential to be a pro. And I didn't even know what a pro was. I'm like, okay, I guess. So yeah.
I was wondering about that, like if you even knew what the process was to become a pro, because I mean, some people just go into it like, oh, it's just going to be fun, I want to try it. And then others go into it knowing like what it takes to become a pro. So how did that journey evolve for you, where you and your coach worked together to make what she saw possible actually reality?
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to do one show. So yeah, like I had I had no idea what a pro was or any. I had no idea what anything was. But thankfully for my coach, she kind of guided me, and that's why it's very important to get a coach that's been in the industry for years. And she had a pretty big team, and she knows what she's doing, so she guided me well. But when I went to see her first, well, how I told you my legs were, I spent years building my legs. She's like, your legs are gonna have to come down. And I
Oh
had no upper body.
no.
I didn't train any upper body before. Maybe I'll do back
Really?
like once a week, once every other week. I never used to do upper body. Usually because how a lot of like girls think before getting into fitness, like, oh, if I train, I'm gonna get manly and stuff like that. So I never used to do arms.
Wow.
And she was like, okay, we're gonna have to bring your legs down and build your upper body. And yeah, I did very well. I started prepping in January of 2018. And then I competed. My first show was in March. I did the CJ Classic, and that was kind of one of the first shows of the year. And I did super duper duper good. I clean shaved. I won possibly every prize. I won novice overall and open overall. So
Yeah, that's amazing.
I did really good. And then from there, I realized I was doing good. So I did another show and another show. And then, yeah, I went to USA's, my first national show. It was in July, I think, in Vegas. I did USA's, and I got 4th there. And then I came back, and then I did Miami Nationals. Yeah.
So when you stepped on stage for the first time, you experienced something that not a lot of girls experience their first time on stage. Like, you not only won something at all, but you completely swept the competition. Like, you won novice overall and open overall. So do you feel like that win propelled you, or maybe gave you even more of that spark of like, I can really do this, like I should keep going?
Definitely. I definitely think that gave me that spark, because I didn't know what potential I had in competing, and just winning overall. I was like, wow, I beat girls that like have done this before, you know?
Yeah.
So it was kind of, I felt like it was something natural in me, you know? And maybe like an athlete, since I've always been an athlete.
I was just thinking that.
It was kind of like the same thing, just a different sport, you know?
Yeah, I mean, regardless of if it was a team sport or an individual sport, I mean, you played mostly team sports, but at the end of the day, like, I was an athlete too my whole life, and I still consider myself an athlete. I think all competitors are athletes, but there's a level of demand on you as an individual in any sport you play. You have to show up for your team, and you have to be willing to also fight for your spot. If you want to be in the first string, you got to train hard, you got to show up, you got to make things happen. And the same thing goes for bodybuilding. So I don't doubt that fire really stayed in you and like supported you with that. But something I love about what you said this in a post, and I love this. You were like, I wasn't so focused on the end goal, more just staying in the zone of competing. It wasn't like, oh, I have to go and get my pro card. It was like, let me just stay in the zone. So what other things were you doing for your mindset to go from being an amateur successfully, admiring the pros at the show you did, to then being up there a year later as a pro?
Yeah, that actually happened to me in I did Miami Beach. No, sorry, Miami Beach. I always say Miami Beach. Miami Muscle, the Miami Muscle show, where I competed in the amateur in 2018, and then I competed as a pro the following year.
So cool.
It's crazy though, because in my amateur season, I still haven't gotten that, which is kind of crazy. I'm not ashamed to say it, because at least I felt like I was in the zone, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It was just like a feeling, like a fire inside of me, that I knew what I wanted, and it was just like nothing was going to stop me from getting my pro card. So it was, my training for Miami Nationals was just like crazy. My mind was so dialed in. I don't even know how I got to that mindset, honestly. I'm still trying to figure it out so I can go back. But yeah, I was zoned in. Like I remember I was doing cardio, and I was telling people, I'm like, I feel like I'm gonna win. It's just like,
mm-hmm.
And I won. It was the mind is a big like thing, having a good mindset. And it's not only about the mindset, because my whole like the first year as a pro, my mind, I could do anything I want, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I knew deep down inside, like I was kind of pushing when I knew I should have rested. And it's just like the mind can always push, but you need to, it's kind of bigger. You need to be like at peace with everything around you, you know?
Right. Like you have to be willing to take a step back, even when your mind is like, let's keep going. Because at the end of the day, that goal, that dream, that lifestyle that you live is still there. But if you put the things at risk that can transport you there, such as your body, your health, your overall functioning and state of being as a whole, not just your mind, then it doesn't matter what your mind believes, because your body no longer can actually commit to it. So at what point did you feel like you needed a break, and how did you, or when did you decide to keep going? Like, how do you go about determining that?
Well, just plan ahead, you know, and make sure everything around you is at peace, like work, family, everything needs to be like at peace. Like you can't have not anything else going on, because, well, yeah, kind of like don't have a lot of things going on at the same time, because even though you can handle it, it's still gonna, like, in the back of your head, the stress is a big thing too. As a competitor, you can't have any stress, because that'll show on your body. Even as much as you try for it not to, there's no way in avoiding like stress. So yeah, it's just like writing your goals and like really doing it because you know you want to do it, you know? Not because there's a hype, or because you see that other girls are competing, so you want to compete, or because you see somebody's doing a national show, you want to go do the national show. That should never be like the goal, you know? You should always, like, it should be your goal, not anybody else's goal, if that makes sense.
I love that. I always like try to stay focused on not being so attached to the goal itself, but more so just going with the process and trusting that it's pretty much inevitable. Like if you really love it and you're really committed to it, why rush it when you can just really relish in it and enjoy that process? And yeah, there is no reason to be overly attached. And you had been, after your first show, winning those overalls and going on, you talked about how you went to USA's, you got fourth there, and then at the next show, you won your pro card, right? That was then Miami Nationals. So
yes, correct.
What was the feedback you were working off of throughout the year that eventually, put you there?
I needed more upper body, like I said earlier. Yeah, my upper body, I never used to train arms. So at least I was kind of like, I had an advantage to where I had legs, so I didn't have to build legs or like much glutes. It was just kind of train them, but I didn't have to like over focus on them like I did for upper body. So I just had a lot of focus on my upper body, and they would always just tell me, just bring some more upper body and keep doing the same thing. So yeah, I did USA's because, not because I really wanted to, but I did it because I was going on a trip in September. USA's was in July. I was going on a trip in September on a cruise. It was to like Europe with my family. And I was scared to come back from that trip and not be ready to prep for nationals on time. So I kind of just jumped into that and got 4th place. But it was my first national show, so I got in front of different judges as well, which kind of helped me because, like, judges like to see change. Judges like to see a competitor showing up better every time. So that kind of, like, helped me as well.
Definitely.
I wasn't just any other face. I was kind of like a familiar face, and they had seen me. They had seen my improvements. So
what did you do to work on building your upper body?
I went to my coach. I knew I needed somebody to push me because with lower body, it's kind of easier to push yourself. But when it comes to upper body, when you can no longer press, you need somebody to spot you, And my coach is a total badass. So I knew she was going to take me to the next level with that. And I would train with her. I think it was twice a week. And she would just kill me.
That's
She would
awesome.
make me lift. She would just make me lift heavy all the time. And eventually we grew.
And were you eating a lot as well?
I was eating I could say normal, about like 6 times a day.
Like
I was in prep,
bodybuilders. Okay.
Yeah, like most bodybuilders, I was having my 6 meals a day, and yeah, I wasn't eating too crazy, but I was training really heavy though. Yeah, my coach was pushing me hard.
So you would go like in there with her 2 times a week, and then would you train upper body again on your own at all during the week?
I would do twice with her, and then I'd do one on myself. Sometimes I wouldn't do more than twice because I tried to sometimes you want to rush the process, and you think doing more is going to help you. And it can actually backfire on you because maybe you are not getting the rest your body needs. So I remember at a point she told me, don't train shoulders 3 times a week. Twice is good enough. We're going to lift really heavy on those days. We're going to push. And then that's exactly what we did. And then I just stopped training 3 times a week because I saw it wasn't even helping me grow more.
Yeah.
And when I trained less, actually, at a higher intensity, it did help me more. And I started growing.
I love that. I think that's awesome because there are so many girls who struggle to put on muscle. And it sounds like for you, what's really worked is just pushing heavy and having someone else there to also help you to train and help you to push your own limits.
Yeah, I think we underestimate sometimes how much you need either a coach to push you during a workout or even like a gym partner too. It doesn't have to always be a coach. Maybe some girls have boyfriends. I've had boyfriends too who I've started the gym with, and then that kind of they've helped me during my sets and stuff like that. And it's very important to have somebody to push you just a little more than you can yourself. It's always you're always going to benefit from that. There's no wrong in that.
Yeah. I worked with was working with a trainer. I have a coach, and then I was working with a trainer for mobility stuff. But a couple times I'd be like, can you just put me through a gnarly upper body workout, a gnarly lower body workout? And it was always so fun because we'd work in all these different things that I couldn't do on my own, even just negatives where they're working against you as the body weight, they're pushing down on your shoulders, or you know what I'm talking about. I don't know how, I can't describe it. And it's so fun, and that's the kind of stuff that you just can't get it another way. And it's also just really motivating and empowering. And there's this common question on this show that I've thrown around for a lot of the athletes lately, so I'm going to ask you, if you could only train if you could only do one exercise for the following body parts, what exercise would it be for each? So shoulders, glutes, and hamstrings. One exercise for each. If you had to do it for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Okay, if it was shoulders, I think it'll be Arnold presses. Glutes. I love every glute exercise. Oh, that's a hard one. Hip thrust, maybe. Can I pick 2? No, I'm just kidding. Hip thrust. I'll say hip thrust. I'll hip thrust, and then which is the other part?
Hamstring.
Hamstrings, I'll say deadlifts. Sumo deadlifts.
Oh, yes. Those feel amazing. I honestly feel those so much in my glutes, but I love it because I can also feel it just a little bit into the hamstring, so I feel like I'm really getting it.
You get the both. You still get booty?
Yes,
And you get
exactly.
used to it. Yeah,
Okay, so
definitely.
you did just, and I'm going to talk to you more about like your trading and your approach to that, but you mentioned something just then, which is like you've had boyfriends in the past who have helped you. And something I've not talked about on this show yet, but I would love to talk about, and I love that you're open to discussing it, is dating during preps, dating in general. So how do you date when you're on prep?
I don't. I don't. I've tried. I really have, but it's kind of hard unless if you meet somebody who's really into like working out and they've compete or they have competed in the past, they won't understand. And it's just I think it just becomes like a conflict because you always you have your routine of you need to work out, you need to eat your meals, you have to drink your gallon, and it's just it's tough. Some people just don't understand. And it's you can't go on dates, first of all, because well you could, but most of the time guys just want to go and have dinner and have a glass of wine and just like all I can have is coffee, black coffee
Mm-hmm.
or water. So it's tough. So I don't really date on prep. I have, but it's never really worked out. So
That's because they haven't been able to understand.
yeah, they don't understand. And it's so instead of me just like frustrating myself or anything, I'm just like I know I need to be at peace. So eventually when if it happens, it happens. I don't avoid it, but it's not my priority at the moment. So
Yeah. No,
I have
exactly.
I I have goals and I'm very big on like reaching them. So unless it like happens like naturally, I won't. Um, that sounds messed up, but
No, it doesn't. I totally honor and respect that. I think that's awesome. You're focused on your goals. You have your passions. You've been very successful from a young age. I mean, you are, how old are you?
I'm 23.
Yeah, me too. And yes, I am. Okay, sometimes I'm like, how old
Oh,
am I? Yes.
yeah. Oh, we're the same age.
We are the same age, and you've accomplished a lot and you've established a lot of independence. And in 2018 you actually had set the goal to own something. In 2019 now you own a business, you own a house, you own a car. What are some of the things you did each day that you feel helped to align you closer and closer to your vision and to those goals?
You know, one thing I really preach about is just consistency. You know, you don't focus so much on the goal rather than what you're putting in every day to reach those goals. And if I've always said, if I don't work, I wake up really, really early. That's another thing we can go into. Doing when I have to do fasted cardio, I have to wake up at like 3:30 in the morning because I start work at 5. I start training people at 5 in the morning. So I'm up really, really, really early. That's another thing why I don't date because I go to sleep at 8 p.m. on prep. I am in bed. And then somebody who doesn't have like the same job as me or they have a different lifestyle, that's the time they want to be on the phone. And I'm like, I have to get my 8 hours of sleep.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm really big on just putting in the work every day and the results will come. For anything you do, there's no wrong going there, you know?
I agree.
If you work hard, you'll make money. If you train hard, you'll get the results you want. If you're consistent with everything, eventually whatever you want will be yours.
So what does consistency look like for you? Like walk us through a normal day. You said you wake, like let's say you're doing fasted cardio. Walk us through a normal day.
Yeah, I'll wake up 3:30 in the morning, do my if I have an hour of cardio, depending what my cardio is, will like depend on the time I wake up. Usually if it's like 45 minutes, I like to have some extra time before getting to work. But I'll do my cardio, make my breakfast, go to work, train. After I finish training all my clients, I'll train myself and then I'll do my cardio again, go back to training again, and then come home, finish whatever I have to finish, my meals or whatever, and then go to bed. Wake up, repeat the same thing. And every day I like to write like a lot on my notes, just like if I have a new goal, if I have something in mind, I'm always writing everything down. I don't know if it's the entrepreneur in me.
I think
It's just
so.
like I have like 1,000 things running through my head in the day. So I like to write my stuff down a lot too. but just like knowing what I need to do and doing it. You know, I know if I cheat myself, or if I like I'll never cancel a client, for instance. Like if the client cancels on me, it's okay, you know. But I can't be the one to cancel on a client. You know, I'm big on that.
Yeah.
Like I know people who are just like, I don't feel like working today, I'm not gonna work. So, and then if I don't do my cardio, I feel like I cheated myself as well. So I know what I have to do, and I just do it. I go through with it, and whatever it takes, I'm gonna do it.
I love that. I remember there was a time where I was like, if I cheat myself, I can't expect others not to cheat me. And like, it was like a standard for myself where I was committed to showing up for me and showing up for my goals and showing up for what I needed, because that sets a boundary. It sets a precedent of that's also what I'm demanding and expecting from others. And so I like how you said that, you know, you show up for your clients, that you also show up for yourself, and you make sure you do what you say you're going to do every day, and you get it done. And that is a true testament to the success that you've achieved, as well as just the way that you've been able to do that over and over again, facing the hard things and making them become habitual, where now, you know, they're not hard, they're just part of your lifestyle. And you've also talked about speaking things into existence. So you said you write a lot of things down. Do you have any other daily rituals or things you do to keep your goals and visions and all those thoughts you have running through your head at the top of your mind?
Yeah. Something new that I've done is when I wake up, you know, usually I used to do this a lot. I used to just wake up, and the first thing I would do was go on Instagram. Like that would be my first thing. And now what I do instead, I don't even touch my phone all morning till like maybe 7 a.m. after I've been working for like 2 hours and been awake. And I just like, I go on my notes and I write what like my goal is. I'll write it and I'll read it to myself and I'll repeat it. And then I start my day. So that's something I've done. A book that kind of taught me that I read in my amateur season was Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Have you heard of that?
Mm-hmm.
You've read it or no?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So that's one of my favorite books, actually. And that's a book that kind of changed my mindset a lot too.
Yeah.
Which helped me like reach my goals, because when I started reading that book, I was actually prepping for Miami Nationals, or I was about to start prepping for Miami Nationals, sorry. And I just started writing everything down, and I had my goal written down, and I would repeat it every day, every night before I went to sleep. And I would always just have myself in check by having everything written down. If I had it written down and I didn't do it, I would have felt like I was cheating myself. So
I love that. That was like your standard, like you expected that of yourself for excellence. And do you ever listen to the artist Russ?
No, I haven't heard of him.
Okay.
Well, I've heard of him, but I haven't heard of him.
Just listen to his song Since I Was Broke. It's really good, and I think it'll resonate with you.
Oh, yeah? Okay, I'll have to listen to that.
Yeah, definitely. It's a good one. So anyway, everything you said made me think of it. That's why I'm suggesting it. And I just like how you are talking about how you show up for yourself, you know, and you don't cheat yourself, you make commitments and you stick to them. Actually, you know, the reason I reached out to you and brought you on is because one of my followers reached out and she listened to the show and she told me about just what an inspiration you are. And I totally agree. You know, I went on and I looked at your page and we started talking, and a few of the things she mentioned, because I always ask people when they recommend, I'm like, well, what stands out to you about this person? And she says she manages her business while taking care of her parents. So can you give us like some more of that story and background on all of that?
Well, yeah. They said I take care of my parents.
Mm-hmm. Is that not true?
I'm not sure what they meant by that. They probably meant I do have my mom always like on a diet and stuff like that. I'm not sure.
That might have been what she meant.
Okay, yeah. I'm always like screaming. My mom was overweight. She's actually lost like 40 pounds now, but
wow.
Yeah, I'm always back and forth with her, like, don't eat this, or come on, you need to like eat good and stuff like that. But she's finally understanding now, and it's all coming into play. But I do manage my own business since I was 8. Well, yeah, 18, because I was an independent trainer, basically managing my own schedule since the age of 18. And I've had to find my clients myself and just promote myself through like social media and like friends and stuff like that. But it's been a journey. Once you start always managing your business, so it kind of like, I forgot where I was going with this. Shoot, I just had like a brain fart. Once you like manage your own business, it's kind of different because you have to devote all your time to it. You know, nobody's gonna do anything for you, and if you don't put in the work, again, there's gonna be zero outcome.
Yeah.
Just like back to what I was saying before. So how I was telling you, you have to wake up. People think, oh yeah, because you love what you do, but it's not as simple as that. You know, I wake up every morning at 5 a.m. I train till about 11 a.m., almost noon. And then I start again at 4. Now I've kind of limited my schedule because of competing and stuff, but to like 8 p.m. So I've worked, I remember, I think like 12 hours a day I was working. And it's just like, people think it's just like you love what you do, but it's a lot more than that because you have to put your all into your business, you know?
Oh, I know.
So it's a lot tougher than people think, managing your own business opposed to like 9 to 5 or another schedule.
Yeah, people think like when you run your own business, like, oh, life must be so easy. You get to make your own schedule. You don't have to go to work and all that. So it's like I'm on call 24/7. Like I am working all the time. And it doesn't mean I don't love it, like you said, but I'm still required to show up every day. I can't call in sick. Who's gonna run the business? Who's gonna be there for my clients, who's going to take care of what needs to be done, you know, like this is me running a business here. So it's interesting how there's different perspectives on it, but you know, I honor your grind. I totally get it. And yes, we love what we do and it's awesome, but there's a different level to it. You know, there's more required, especially for the vision. And if you have big visions, you have big goals, then you have to show up and you have to make it happen. So
yep.
Do you feel
when you're tired, you have to show up? It's exactly what you said.
Yep.
There's no shortcuts to, you know, to success. There's definitely no shortcuts.
That's for sure. And someone I just brought on, actually, she's like, the only shortcut is time, like putting in the time. I was like, yeah, that's so true. So do you ever feel like committing to prep and following this lifestyle though actually supports you positively or influences your life in a positive way, like with focusing on every detail?
It's a funny question. I do, but it's tough. It is super duper tough because I'm a person that I love devoting time to my business, to my clients. And I know in order for me to be the best I can to my clients, I have to go above and beyond anything I do, you know? I just can't cut slack on anything. And I feel the same way about competing. Like if I don't go and like do every single thing I need to, and I don't go hard every single time, I feel like, you know, it's not gonna like pay off. So it's tough. I think that was the toughest part for me actually as a pro, because when you enter the pro league, I think it's a little harder. You need to, especially like a newbie, one of the new ones in the pro league, like these girls have been competing for years, you know? There's girls that have been competing for 5 years, 6 years. And opposed to me, like I've just been competing for, now it's going to be 2 years. But when I just started, I was just competing only for 1 year. So it was tough to start. It was tough like starting. And I feel like I just jumped in rather than, I think it would have been better. I was just talking about this. If I would have taken an off season, like a very good off season to really make improvements that I needed
before going on your pro debut.
Yeah. And I kind of just jumped into it, and it was hard because like with work and stuff like that, I should have just taken more time. It's hard to do both things at your full potential. If I answered your question, was that?
Totally. That gives me a lot of perspective. And it actually made me think, like, in that time when you were going through competing in 2018 and then stepping on even the pro circuit, did you have any off-season periods in that time frame, or any like mini reverse diets or anything like that?
No. Ashamed. I'm saying this ashamed. I didn't. I really didn't. And I just, if there's any girls out there that just become pros, if you know, you obviously know. I should have known I need a little bit more time to build my upper body. But at the same time, I wanted to get my feedback and compare myself to the other girls and see what I needed. So, I mean, either way, you can't go wrong, because sometimes you could just get your feedback, go back and work, or you can just get your feedback, like use the feedback you got from when you got your pro card, and then use that to work too. But it's hard. It's really hard. Sorry.
Oh no, it's okay. Go for it. Yeah.
I didn't, like, while I was competing, I didn't want to like pick up new clients to actually train, because I'm like, okay, if somebody left, like, I didn't want to, and I had a lot of people like messaging me, oh, I want to train, and I wouldn't want to get new clients, because I feel like I would be taking on more load, and then I wouldn't be able to focus on competing. So that kind of affected my business in a way. And hopefully now I'm like, I've learned a lot too. So hopefully now I won't make the same mistakes and manage everything a little better.
What are some of those things you learn in regard to managing things better?
Kind of just like, if I have my schedule, I can't be scared to take on new clients at the same time that I'm competing. So if I know I have my schedule and I can fit somebody in, fit them in, I can't, if I'm already working, I can take on somebody new. It's not really going to hurt me if I'm already working. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense.
So that was kind of like a thing that I needed to tell myself, like, it's okay. Nothing's going to happen if you take on somebody new. But just like the fear of me thinking, oh my God, what if I need to go through a lot of basics with this person? Oh my God, my bird is going crazy. I don't know if you could hear him screaming.
It's okay.
Yeah, so like that fear of like, what if I get somebody that doesn't know how to work out? So I didn't really want to pick up clients during that whole time. So I'm hoping this time around it's a little different and I don't get into that mindset.
So have you been in like an improvement? I mean, since you stepped off of the pro circuit, you entered an improvement season, right?
Yes.
Okay. And so how did things change for you? Because this was then your very first improvement season. You had been working in a prep with your coach. So what changed in your approach?
Just my mindset. I feel like I'm in a clear state of mind now after like competing a lot last year. I think I overdid myself. I probably won't do that again. I competed like 6 or 7 times and I burned myself out. I knew I should have stopped, and how I was telling you earlier, like the mind, you can push, but sometimes you need to like get in tune, and you need to stop as well. And I think I should have done that after my San Antonio show, but since I had my shows picked out already, I was like, no, I can't be a quitter. I can't quit on myself. But now I'm like, okay, we need to be more realistic, because the goal is not to just compete, right? The goal is to get on stage and win. So just doing shows back to back is not gonna make me win. It's not gonna get me closer to winning. But actually improving every time and taking the time I need will help me improve and will help me eventually win. So I have taken a good off season. I stopped in November. I did the Japan Pro, and last week I started like dieting again. So I took off 5 months, but in those 5 months I really I was still training hard, my body. I wasn't dieting strict or anything. I was still eating my meat. I was still eating meals, just having a lot more carbs and a lot more fun in my diet. But I really did have a good off season right now in these past 5 months. So I'm excited for this upcoming season, actually.
Yeah, it's so exciting. And I can't wait to see what actually happens as these shows open up again. But you did go straight into your pro debut. So what was that like? I mean, when you were in many of the shows you ended up doing in the pro circuit in your first year, you were standing next to a lot of top competitors, people that have been doing it for a while. So how did that feel for you? And what was some of that feedback you got that you've now been working towards?
Still, my feedback till this day is,
oh no,
I need more. And it's my upper body. And I have the upper body. I just don't have the muscle maturity. So like if you
Mm-hmm.
see, sometimes you'll see like videos I post and I'm like, whoa, people are like, are you going into figure? I'm like, no. It's just my shoulders don't have the maturity they need, and that's just, again, there's no shortcut to getting mature
Right.
muscles unless you take like muscle enhancers, but I'm completely natural. So I'm just
Wow.
going with consistency again, how I've always done. And I know that's never going to fail me. So eventually I'm going to win a pro show. I know for sure.
You were so
Um,
close so many times.
yeah, in San Antonio, actually, I got second place. I was so close,
Yeah,
but
that's amazing.
whatever. It's okay. I mean, it happens.
Now you're
I
hungrier.
know I wasn't, it didn't really hurt. Yeah, it didn't really hurt me. Well, I'll tell you why. Well, now that you said, just going into when I jumped into my pro debut, I actually got injured 2 weeks before my pro debut.
Seriously?
Yes. So I pulled my hamstring and I couldn't train
Oh my
hamstring for
gosh.
2 weeks. And then the worst part about it is I had already signed my contract. So I was like, okay, I don't,
No.
in the IFBB league, like if you sign a contract and you don't show up to a show, I think you could get fined or something like that.
Right.
So I was kind of scared. I'm sure if I had like a real injury, there probably would have been, and I emailed or something, there probably would have been, I would have been okay. But I didn't even tell my coach that I got
Oh
injured
my gosh.
because I was 2 weeks out. I was like, no, I can't stop now. And I couldn't even do deadlifts. It was
Wow.
really, really bad. And my coach, she kind of like, she knew something was wrong, but she didn't really know. So after I did my pro debut, I still didn't do bad, but if I wouldn't have gotten injured, maybe the outcome would have been a little bit different. So my glutes for the whole maybe 3-4 first shows I did, they they didn't really tune into what my glutes had been in my amateur season or had been ever, because I couldn't train to my full potential. And then after my pro debut, I told my coach, because she was like, I don't know what's wrong. Like, and I'm like, okay, I have to tell you something. I messed up my hamstring. And she's like, I knew something was wrong with you. I'm like, oh God, I should have said something.
Was she pissed that you didn't tell her?
Nah, she was, I don't know if she was really pissed. I don't think she was mad, but she's like, I knew something was wrong, Your
Yeah.
glutes weren't dialing in how they usually dial in. So she's like, I knew something was wrong, but I didn't know what it was.
Was she
She
still
wasn't really mad.
programming like you for as though you didn't have an injury?
Yes.
Dang.
I should have said something. It was all my mistake, but whatever. I'll be
You
fine.
still did really well, all things considered.
Yeah, that being considered, I still did good. But and then I ended up getting therapy for it, and I pulled it again after that, and I didn't really know what was wrong, and it wasn't even my hamstring. It actually ended up being my hips that were like super tight. So that was kind of like pulling on my hamstring, and I pulled my hamstring twice. So yeah, that was kind of crazy. If you're injured, go see a professional and get it fixed, because pushing through is not gonna resolve anything.
What was your mindset in that time frame? Like, what was going through your head? Was it just like you said, I can't quit on myself? Was it like I can still make it
Yeah,
happen? Or
I thought I could. I went into the gym after pulling my hamstring. And I'm like, okay, let me see what I could train instead of hamstrings to still keep my glutes up. I think I sat on the abductor machine and I did about 1,000 reps of abductors. I'm not even lying. I think I did, or like 500 or some crazy number like that, because that was the only thing that wouldn't pull on my hamstring. But I'm like, okay, I
wow.
can't keep doing this. Like, I was trying to find every way around training.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, even walking on a treadmill, I was limping. So
No.
yeah, it was tough. But and it took instead of taking care of it right away, and I kind of like let it get worse, it took a toll on me, and I didn't really get better till like 2-3 months after. And I was still prepping. I was like trying to just find ways around it.
Wow.
But
That's pretty
yeah, I hope
amazing.
if anybody's listening, if you're injured, don't try and push through it. Go get it fixed. It's probably a
Yeah.
sign.
Yes, and it could turn into
And do the
something
right thing.
so
And tell
much
your coach.
worse. Yeah, tell your
Yes,
coach.
you really can. I'm glad it didn't. Tell your coach too. Don't try and like pull me. That was bad. That was a bad call.
And
So yeah, I did some pretty crazy things like my whole first year as a pro. I was just trying different things to see what works and what didn't work. And
what do you
then
feel like
another,
worked well for you?
just being, again, consistent.
Mm-hmm.
That just like there's no failure in that. My best show was the my best placing actually was my third show. Yeah, it was my third show. It was the San Antonio Pro where I placed second, and that was after my third prep. You know,
Yeah.
so it was just like doing it and just improving after that, competing again, and then just keep improving, and then eventually you're gonna get better. You know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I feel like I should have just stopped, because after the third show, I think my body was just, after that, just like kind of done. I think we underestimate a lot, like how much we put our bodies through, and that your body really does need a break. Oh my God, these dogs are going crazy. Yeah, we underestimate like how good rest is and how much you need to like rest your body.
Yeah.
Maybe something that has opened my eyes. I probably won't compete as much during the year. Maybe a good like 3 shows max, and no more after that. Probably take like a good break after that. And I kind of you look at other like of the big pros, and they don't compete like 6 times a year. They do like 2-3 shows and they're good. So maybe that's probably a different approach I'll take for this season.
Yeah, it is interesting. Like the girls who are at the top, right? They usually end up staying there because once you're there, you pretty much have a pass to come back and keep doing those shows, Arnold and Olympia for the most part. So then you look at them and they bring these amazing physiques, and you're like, well, they have so much time between shows also, so they can have a full recovery and then a full-on prep, and they have plenty of time to get ready, but also plenty of time to like make the improvements. So that's why it's hard to knock champions off the throne.
Yeah, definitely. I'm like, after that San Antonio show, I just started losing muscle because I was just pushing my body and just pushing, and then I knew my body fat was super low. I took my body fat percent. It was in Japan, my last show, and she told me I had 3% body.
Hold on, you broke up a little bit. What?
That I did my body fat test in Japan, which was my last show, and my thing came out to 3%. I'm like, okay, I should have taken a break a long time ago. Yeah, it was crazy. After I saw those numbers, I'm like, okay, it's kind of cool, but that's not healthy.
Did they tell you were too lean?
Did I get that? No, I didn't. I actually didn't get that feedback from the judges. Yeah, my feedback was actually, it started being like, get more muscle. So it was like I started losing muscle. Sorry, I probably broke up when I was saying that. I started losing muscle after the San Antonio show. I guess my body at that point was kind of just like, okay, really low in body fat. My weight was low. I was really skinny. That's when I should have taken a break, right after that show.
And it sounds like you've like really learned from all these experiences you've had. What was it though after you won your pro card? Like what was it that made you go, I want to go straight onto the pro stage?
I guess just seeing girls on social media, like other competitors on social media. That kind of just like probably pushed me. I was like, oh wow, maybe I should start competing again when I should have taken a break, you know? I feel like social media social media is very difficult. Something I do too is I try and like stay off social media like my last few weeks of prepping, because in the past I've like, you start, oh, who's going, and then you start seeing other girls or friends you even have in the industry, and you're like, wow, this she looks super good, and then you're seeing another image and you're not really focusing on yourself.
Yeah, and that's like what you said before. It's like, do it for you, like doing it because you really want to, and it's like the right move for you. So it's just cool, and I appreciate you being so open about your experiences as well, because you're not like filtering it, you know, you're telling it like it is from the experiences you've had. And that's something that I know a lot of people appreciate. And I actually wanted to ask you about one other thing, which is like, I noticed you had changed your hair color a few times. This is so random. Maybe I'm wrong, but in the stage photos I was looking at on NBC, did you change your look? Like, how did you go about really nailing like your show day look, or how do
I
you do that?
did. I
Okay, I was
did. I
like, I'm
used
not
to have
crazy, right?
no. I used to have red hair actually.
That's what I thought. I was like, this, like, her hair
Yeah.
is not red anymore. What happened? So, yeah, walk us through how you like got to your show day look.
I've had red hair for about I used to have red hair for a few years. I had it. And I guess since I was like exercising so much, it started damaging my hair. So I'm like, okay, I was gonna go back to my regular color brown, and then my hairstyle was like, oh, I think you look really good in black. And I'm like, okay, whatever, I guess. And I just put on black and I liked it. So yeah, I did change. I did love my like green bikini though with my red hair. It looked really nice. It was
Mm-hmm.
like reminding me like poison ivy.
Yes, seriously. No, I loved that look on you. I was like, oh my gosh, like you pulled it off. I love the red hair on you, by the way. I think it looks great.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I love the red hair. I'll eventually go back, I think. But for right now, I'm giving my hair like a rest.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How,
it
how
needs
do
it.
you like what do you think girls should think about when they're picking out suit colors or thinking about dyeing their hair? Like what were some of those thought processes you had around that?
Oh, um, I don't know, but I can say maybe if you have a color that you know works well for you, stick to that color. Do not change to your bikini color. Like, it's fun to like get different, like switch up the look, but what works for you works for you. So don't switch up. That was actually one of my mistakes as well. Even I did that in the amateur and in the pro. Green has always been my color, and I always do well with my green suit. But you know, sometimes you want to change. You're like, okay, it's the same
Yeah.
thing. I want to change, but don't. Well, not don't if you want to do it. But I tried purple. I did that one in my amateur in 2018. Yeah, I tried a purple suit. It didn't rock well. I tried blue last year for my pro. I did the blue in like I forgot where it was. Utah? No, not Utah. I forgot where I competed, but I tried blue as well and it didn't work. And I'm just like, okay, I'm not switching suit colors anymore. Like,
Yeah.
I remember the first show, the judge, one of my feedback was, don't change your suit color. And there I went and I changed my suit color. And there I went
Wow.
and I got second place. So yeah, if a judge tells you that the suit color looks good, keep it. Don't try and like change your color because somebody else is rocking another color, or because you want to just change. If it works for you, stick to it.
I love that advice. There's so much pressure out there to like constantly change the suit and try something new. And oh, you should do this with, you know, it's like once, like you said, once you find it, like keep it. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
I'm still finding mine. I loved the blue on me, and I wore that for 4 of the 5 shows that I did in 2017, 2018. And then I was like, okay. And my coach Ingrid, she's like, wear this purple one. Like, it's going to be amazing. We were going to do green. And I have a green one actually in my house right now. And
Yeah.
she's like, she was so right. That purple looked amazing. And I have yet to wear the green, but you know what? I don't know if we're going to have to pull the bottoms out a little, but
I
I,
think I saw you with the purple suit, and I think
yes.
I like it.
I
It
love
looks
the
nice. Yeah.
purple. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think like I'm realizing those are like the tones I gotta stick to, like the purples and blues, but I am gonna try green. I mean, I'm still an amateur. I haven't hit the national stage yet, so I think I have some room to like play. But like you said,
Yeah.
once I get that, like this is good. Even Sandy Williamson has said it on some of her recent live videos. Like, you don't need to get a new suit all the time. Like, just show up and like make sure you're looking put together. Don't worry, don't stress so much about your hair. And obviously your makeup needs to be on point, but otherwise, you know,
Yeah.
you'd be fine.
Yeah. What works. Don't change it.
I love that. And
Yeah.
I just appreciate you sharing so many of the wins and the lessons and the takeaways that you've had from just your overall journey so far. And I'd love for you to share your best advice now for the competitor who's actually on her road to pro, and then the girl who's listening but maybe has never competed before.
Okay. So for the girl who's listening and has never competed before, I think before you jump into anything, competing is a different level of, of exercising, and like it's bodybuilding, it's bigger than just like, and it takes time, a lot of time to build like quality muscle. So I would start training before even start competing, like if that makes sense. Don't just jump into competing with no experience in the gym, because that can kind of like backfire on you, and like maybe like the mental aspect of it, like you don't win and you're like, oh wow, I'll never look like that. And even some coaches, like I've heard of a lot of girls who like they just get into competing and their coach just wants to directly, these girls don't have muscle, and then they like make them start taking steroids and stuff. So don't do that.
Yeah.
Just give yourself time to really like put on quality muscle and lift heavy and do what you need to do to get the look of the division you're going for.
My advice to somebody on the road to pro would be to not worry about the competition, not worry about other competitors, but just bringing your very best version every single time you step on stage. And also just to make sure you have a great support system behind you, pushing you to be the best you can.
And I give one more piece of advice.
Yeah.
Be confident. Be very confident on the stage, because also when I got second place, I was actually, this is a funny story I was going to say, but didn't really come through. I got actually placed in San Antonio when I got second place. I was they put me in between two Olympians, and when that happened, I was like, in my mind, we were all in our back rows, and I'm like, I looked kind of to the sides, and I'm like, oh my god, this can't be true. And like it was happening, but I wasn't as like confident as I should have been, because I was so like, I was scared. I was like, oh my god, I'm in between two Olympians, this can't be happening right now. And then I think that kind of like my confidence wasn't there, so that kind of like went down, and I got second place. So just be confident no matter who's around you. Like know what you're going to get. That's a big thing. Like know what's yours and then just go for it.
That's awesome. Do you feel like that's the fire you're bringing into now your next couple of
Definitely.
That's cool.
Yes, definitely. I'm like, all right, I know what I'm bringing this time around. I did good. I did okay in my first year as a pro, but I'm coming in with a different mindset now. So a lot more fire this time.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Which is amazing because you had so much before. But yes, new lessons, new levels, and new mindset and new look too.
Yeah, not that much of a new look. Just tweaking our muscles and just bringing some more maturity and just the same drive, but an improved look.
Yes.
And a different. It's an improved look. That's what it is.
That's awesome. Well, I'm excited. I'm excited for you. I can't wait to see it, and I appreciate you coming on too. And I want everybody else to be able to do that. So, could you share maybe like your Instagram or your website?
Yes, of course. So my Instagram is IronBabeJL, and then my work and my other social media for my business is Iron Babe Fitness. So that's where you can like see my training with my clients and stuff like that. I just actually released a home workout program. So if nobody has access to a gym, that is a good program to get. And I do have my bands too. So you can purchase my bands on there. I have my own line of fitness bands. So yeah, I'll actually, even if they listen to this, they're going to get this discount code. If you guys compete, I'm going to put a band discount. So let's do bikini 20, and then you can get 20% off. So I'll put that code in today. So anybody who needs a band or anything, you can use that code and get a discount.
Oh, that's so awesome of you. I appreciate you doing that for them. And you guys, I'll make sure I put that in the show notes page too, so you can see that. And I'll put the discount code with it and the website and everything like that. And Julie, thank you so much for everything you've shared with us.
No problem. Thank you for interviewing me, and thank you for having me on. I really hope I can help somebody that's like competing, and they can probably listen to this podcast and take something back from it that'll help them.
For sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So many golden nuggets throughout this episode. And to everyone listening, all the show notes, all the links and everything, that's on www.celestial.fit/podcast. Of course, that's going to be linked in wherever you're listening to this show. And if you're looking for Julie's episode specifically, because maybe you're listening to this way down in the future, just look in the category section and she'll have her own name there, so you can find that. And then hopefully you guys share this with your teammates and friends and tag us as you listen. Let us know what you loved about the episode. And with all of that being said, I hope you all have an amazing rest of your day, night, or morning, wherever you are in the world while you're listening to this episode. Just make it awesome.